ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यम् तं त्रोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यात् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यम् केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. We are in our study of Mandukya Upanishad, and in this study of Mandukya Upanishad I have mentioned that Gaudapadacharya ji is establishing the oneness of the absolute reality, and the absolute reality alone exists, and there is nothing other than that. This is the highest understanding of Hinduism, of this Vedanta. Vedanta declares that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This is what is established in Vedanta. Brahma Satyam, that Brahman alone is the absolute reality, and Jagat Mithya, the world is illusion. So, what is this world which is illusion? So, if we say that it is illusion, that means there is an experience of this world. So, there is an experience of this world, and there is an appearance which leads me to the experience of this world. So the appearance is accepted, the experience is accepted, but Vedanta comes and says that this world is an illusion. And what that means is the appearance is there, the world is experienced, it appears and it is experienced, but there is no absolute reality of this world. The world has not originated. If at all it has originated, it is originated in avidya, in ignorance. In ignorance, the world has appeared. So the appearance is only there in our illusion, and that is to be understood. And is there an existence? No, because if it had existence, then it would have been mentioned. But Brahma Satyam, so Brahman has existence. The world has no existence and the world has no origination. But the world has appearance, and the appearance of this world has an experience. These points we have to really, 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 really grapple with. Only when we understand this, our confusion will be gone. Our confusion is born out of our inability to understand these 4 points about the world. The world has no origination and the world has no existence. It has no existence. It has a seeming existence, and that seeming existence appears. It is appearing as though it is existing. But that appearance is not real, and that appearance, experience is there, appearance is there. Vedanta does not refute that. Vedanta doesn't say that it doesn't appear, that there is no experience. No. Bhagavan also in Bhagavad Gita says, Ashocyan anvashochastvam. You grieve for that which should not be grieved for. So, Arjuna has taken the appearance as real, as existence. And because he has taken the appearance as existence and he has validated his experience, Bhagavan says that is your trouble. And thus the teaching of Bhagavad Gita starts. So, what was first negated in these karikas from number 2, 3 all the way up to this karika number 9 is we have negated the existence. We have negated over here negation of the Jiva Shrushti, that the creation of the Jiva is negated. How is the creation of the Jiva negated? The example in here is given of the space and the pot space, the great space and the pot space. When the pot is created, it is as though the pot space is created, but in reality, there is no creation of pot space. And that is what we have been discussing. In reality, there is no creation of pot space. There is only space. So, Gaudapadacharya ji, with this one example of space and pot space, he establishes that there is no such thing as the creation of Jiva. That's why when Vedanta is explained by Shankaracharya ji, Brahma Satyam, Brahman is real, Jagat Mithya, the world is illusion. And who says that the world is illusion? It is as though the realized pot space in the pot, which says the world is illusion. Because that pot space has assimilated its identity, Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha, that this pot space in essence is Brahman. The pot space in essence is space alone. Just like the wave has assimilated its identity that it is not a wave apart from the ocean. In fact, it is only water. And when the wave has regained its identity as pure water, there is no such thing as a wave. It is only water. There is an appearance of the water as a wave, and we can say there is a big wave, there's a small wave, there's a powerful wave, there is a gentle wave. All these things are words, and that's it. In reality, we are talking of only H2O. So H2O alone is. So the wave has assimilated its identity, and it is that wave which has assimilated its identity. It says there is no such thing as wave. There's an appearance of wave, and that is called wave mithya, jagat mithya. Jivo brahmaiva na paraha. In essence, the jiva and Brahman are one. Jiva is nothing less than Brahman. The H2O has realized in the wave that I am only H2O. All this is discussed in this pot space example from Karika number 3 up to this 9. Now, when we talk about pot and pot space, what about the pot? Someone may say the pot is created. The pot has origination. The pot originated and the pot was created. What about that pot? And that pot is part of the world. Jagat Shrushti. The pot is part of the world. So the pot was created. The pot is created. So someone may say that, and because of that, now we continue with Karika number 10. Karika number 10 comes and says, we read this Advaita Prakarana, 3rd chapter in this big Mandukya Upanishad. Gaudapadacharya ji's commentary on the 7th mantra in this Advaita Prakarana, now he is talking especially about the arrival of the pot. So what about the pot? So it is said over here. Sanghata swapnavat sarve atma maya visarjitaha adikye sarvasamyeva nopapattirhi vidyate. Very, very powerful karika. Just one karika is taken to negate the pot. So it says, Sanghata swapnavat sarve atma maya visarjitaha adikye sarvasamyeva nopapattihi vidyate. So now to establish the non-creation of the jiva, the non-origination of jiva, the pot and the pot space, the pot space and the great space example is taken. Now we have to leave that example. We have to only take the point which is made in the example and nothing more than that. We must not get carried away with the example and ask too many questions based upon that, because the problem is there is nothing like Brahman which we can take as an example, because it is subject. So how can we objectify it? That is the problem with teaching Brahma Vidya. And thus there are limitations of examples. We don't have very many examples that we can use to explain the one and only one absolute truth. So now the next example is taken. Pot, space, great space, over. Now second example, another example is taken to establish the origination of the arrival of the pot. I'm again borrowing that pot, but to explain that, another example is used. That's all I want to say. So don't bring that. I'm just using the pot. That's all. Now the next example he uses over here is dream, which was discussed at great length in Vaitatya Prakarana to establish the illusory nature of the reality which is as though experienced. So the illusory nature of the world, that was the prapanchopashamam, was discussed in Vaitatya Prakaranam. Shantam Shivam Advaitam is now discussed in this establishing one Brahman. The example of the dream is taken. And when we dream, when we go to bed, and when we dream, we don't systematically in our dream experience a big bang, then the world comes out and billions of years go by, earth arrives, billions and billions of years go by, all the various eras are over, the ice age, the dinosaur age, all this, and finally comes some jiva, and then jiva experience is taken. We don't have such thing in a dream. The dream is all of a sudden we start projecting, and the dream just appears. There is no origination of the dream apart from the dreamer. The dreamer creates the dream world exactly at the point where he or she is dreaming. And that's it. That dreamer creates the dream world exactly where the dream starts. And then the dream is over and over. Dream is over. That example is taken for the world over here. Sanghataha, the word which is used over here, Sanghataha sarve, Sanghata swapnavat sarve atma maya visarjitaha. Sanghataha, Sanghat is a technical word for the pot of the human body. The human body is technically known as Sanghat. It is known as Karya Karana Sanghat. It is a effect produced out of the 5 elements put together. That's all. This is what this body is. A very technical term used in Vedanta, Sanghat, Karya Karana Sanghat. So, the assemblage, and the assemblage of this body is created. And the assemblage of the body is created for whom? The body? No. That also we have to understand. So now the body has been created. How? Swapnavat, like a dream. Swapnavat, Atma Mayaya, by its own power. So over here, Jagat, the world, is taken, and symbolically to represent the whole world, the body is taken. Body is part of this world. We are going to leave this body over here. We found it here. We are going to utilize it here, and we are going to leave it here. So it is part of this world. So Gauda Padacharya ji uses the body as a representation of this world. So Sanghata ha swapnavat, like a dream, Atma Mayaya visarjita. Visarjita, it is produced. It is created. Like how? Swapnavat, like a dream. Like in dream, our dream starts exactly where we want to dream. We don't create systematically parents for the dream body. We don't systematically create time frame for that dream body to age. We may be 20 years old, but we experience a dream when we are 5 years old, as a boy, as a little kid, or we experience the dream as an old man, 80 years old. But in the waking state, the body is only some 20, 25 years old. So the dream immediately starts. And there is no systematic origination of the dream. In the same way, this world is over here referred to as a body. The dream world appears and exists, but we can never talk of the existence and the origination of the dream world. In the same way, this waking world In that a pot space and the great space example, the creation of the pot, how did the pot come? Over here it is explained that the arrival of the pot is like a dream. So this entire great waking state, the dream state example is taken, that the origination of the entire world is like a dream. It just is. It has arrived. That's all. We cannot pinpoint the origination. The cause, other than Prakriti, we cannot identify. What is the, so many people ask, Swamiji, what was the first Vasana which was created? No answer. How did that first Vasana arrive? That is referred to as just Anadimayaya. It is beginningless ignorance. And that is what is discussed over here, that the logical negation of the origination of the world, the great five elements, the origination of the pot is clearly seen. Similarly, the Jivatma, the enclosed consciousness we saw, was not created. That space alone is. But then about the pot. So now the pot is over here. Sangataha swapnavat atma mayaya. Atma mayaya over here, maya of the self. This is the power of maya. Adikye sarvasamyeva, the superiority or the equality of all of these things. There is no rational argument given about the reality of this dream. In the same way, there is no rationality given behind the creation of this world. This world just is. So the purpose, now, even though the body is appearing and it is experienced, it should not be concluded that the body exists and it originated. So dream world example is taken. So now when we talk about the negation over here, when we talk about mithya, illusion, what is mithyatva? The following conditions are important to know. We must understand these following conditions to understand illusion, mithya. So, existence is negated. So, existence is negated and origination is negated. That is why Maya or illusion creates so many problems for us. We have questions after questions after questions after questions. Why about Maya? That is the first point of Vedanta, that the existence and the origination is negated. The existence of Jiva is negated. The origination of Jiva is negated. How? The pot space and the great space example. Now, the existence of the world and the origination of the world is negated. How? Like a dream. This is the point which is made. The origination of the world and the existence of the world is negated by the example of dream. Dream has relative existence until the dream exists. Once we wake up, we realize, it is a dream. We don't waste any waters. We don't waste any time. We don't cry over what we lose in the dream. We realize it's a dream. So the existence is negated. Origination, do we inquire how did the dream start? What was the first arrival of the dream? No, there is no such thing as that analysis. We just take dream as a dream. We cannot even identify the thought which gave birth to the dream. There is a peculiarity about the dream. In the same way, how can we identify the thought which gave birth to the world? Thus, it is negated. Then, the appearance and the existence, the appearance, the appearance and the experience of the world is accepted in Vedanta. Get these points, write them down if you have to write them down, and go over them. So the existence and origination is negated in Vedanta, but the appearance and the experience of that appearance, Vedanta accepts. Because we cannot refute this experience. Even though the world is illusion, I'm talking about illusion through the medium of computer, and you guys are listening on the other end about this topic of Maya. Yet we give reality to 7 a.m. Tuesdays, Thursdays. We sit, me on this side of the computer, you on the other side, receiving this pravachan and making sense of it. So, the experience we cannot deny. Experience is. And that is the second point of Vedanta. The appearance and the experience, Vedanta does not refute. But the existence and the origination, Vedanta negates. No. So these 2 points. Then, what is the cause of the experience of this world, one may say? The appearance and the experience, if it is there, then someone may say, what is the cause of this experience? Why is it experience to begin with? So then it is said that it is avidya, it is ignorance. It is anadi avidya, beginningless ignorance, which has created this experience. So, this, if we can understand, this is very good for contemplation. It is very good for nididhyasan. Sit quietly in the seat of meditation and contemplate upon it, that this existence of the world and the origination of the world, Vedanta refutes. But the appearance and the experience of it is what is referred to as illusion due to Maya. This is discussed over here. Now, the third topic we have to enter. With this, we finish the negation of the origination of the world. Only one karika, one example, dream, and Gaudapadacharya ji has established. There is no origination of Jiva. He took karikas 3 all the way up to 9. So he took 7 karikas to negate the origination of the jiva. He took 1 karika to negate the origination of world. Now, this is logic. Now, logic can only go so far. Someone may say, this is your thinking. This is all your cooked up ideas. So now Gaudapadacharya ji comes and says, no, this is not my original idea. This is not something that my buddhi cooked up. This is the declarations of the Upanishads. So Karikas 11 through 14 now will establish the negation of the creation of the jiva, the origination of the jiva, which we saw from Karikas 3 to 9 about the spot space and the great space. The origination of the jiva is negated. Now, Upanishadic mantras are taken to logically over there with logic and example to negate. Now, Upanishads say that. So, Shruti Praman is taken. Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhuti. These 3 things have to be there to establish a particular point. Shruti, scriptures. Yukti, logic. Anubhuti, and it has to be validated. I have to validate both. Shruti is saying, yes, I understand it. Logic is saying, yes, I understand it. But now, what is my experience? What is my anubhuti? Do I buy this? Gaudapadacharya ji said some 1,000 years ago. But what about me here? Do I accept it? So that is the purpose of studying this, so that when we contemplate, meditate, it becomes our experience. Not just intellectually understanding it, but then we come to realize, yes, this is true. Okay. So now, Karika number 11. Rasadayo hi ekoshaha vyakhyatastaittariyake tesham atma paro jivaha kham yatha samprakashitaha. So over here it is indicated in this karika, rasa adayaha hi ye koshaha vyakhyataha taitariyake. Vyakhyataha, it is declared. Where? Taitariyake, in the Taittiriya Upanishad. What is discussed in the Taittiriya Upanishad? In the 2nd chapter of Taittiriya Upanishad, sections 1 through 5 negates the Panchakoshas and establishes that beyond the 5 layers of matter envelopment, there is no such thing as Jiva. In fact, there is only Brahman. That is what is established in Taittiriya Upanishad. We may think that you remove these 5 layers. When I remove my 5 layers, I will find a Swamiji Jivatma. When a brahmachari removes the 5 layers, he will find a brahmachari jivatma. That is not the case. When each one of us remove our 5 layers, over here, rasa adayah. Rasa is the essence of the food sheet. Annamaya kosha is referred to this rasamaya kosha. So annamaya kosha, this body is negated. Then pranamaya kosha, this body is hooked up to this blue stuff by this pranamaya kosha. Between the mind and the body is the pranamaya kosha. Then comes the manomaya kosha, the mental sheath. So the physical sheath made up of food, the vital breath sheath which keeps the whole body alive. Once the pancha pranas are gone, the body is dead. The mental sheath, the manomaya kosha. Then comes the vijnanamaya kosha, the intellectual sheath. And then comes the anandamaya kosha, the envelopment of dense matter. Vasanamaya kosha, tendencies, and the rudimentary tendencies which gives birth to the experience of this body sanghat, karya karana sanghat, the body, gross body, the subtle body is all there in this. And beyond that is ananda atma. Over there in Taittiriya, it is not ananda jivatma, it is ananda atma, paramatma. That is what Gaudapadacharya ji is using over here to prove that there is no creation of the jiva. That is established in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Tesham atma paro jivaha. In there, this absolute atma beyond the jiva is indicated, not the jiva. Kham tatha samprakashitaha. So, just in the same way, like the space, kham, space example, the great space, and then the pot space. In the same way, this example is to be taken, that there is only the existence of absolute. This is what is discussed over here, that this assemblage of Atma, in this assemblage of this pot, Atma alone is. There is no such thing as Jivatma. So, Shruti over here, scriptures are taken to prove that, and this is very, very important. Bhagavad Gita also talks about the same thing, that Arjuna, there is only na jayate, na mriyate. This Atma has never taken birth, it never dies. Ajaha, Nitya, Shashvata. It is the identity of the Paramatma, not the Jivatma. So, this is what is talked about in this Taittiriya Upanishad. So, very beautifully, we have to understand that this Jiva has not been created. Jivatma is not created out of Paramatma. In fact, Paramatma alone is. Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. Same thing he talked about over here. Tesham Atma paro jivaha. this Atma alone is there, is what is established. So all Upanishads point out the identity of the Jivatma and Paramatma Aikya, oneness between the Jivatma and the Paramatma, that is talked about. Continuing, second, the next Karika 12. द्वयोर्द्वयोर्मधुज्ञाने परं ब्रह्म प्रकाशितं पृथिव्याम् उदरे चैव यथाकाशः प्रकाशितः. Second, over here, example is taken. Second, support of Shruti is taken. The previous Karika took the support of the Taittiriya Upanishad and Panchakosha. I did not go into the Panchakosha. This is not the subject matter over here. That is Taittiriya Upanishad. And in Taittiriya Upanishad, we have seen at great length the Panchakoshas and all that. And Atma is above. So in that one line, I finished it because we have to move on. This is Mandukya Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, such a massive Upanishad. In there, in this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is talked about over here. So now, in this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in the second chapter, the fifth section over here is talked about. There are 6 chapters in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It is massive. And each chapter has several sections. And each section is referred to as a Brahmana. This is just how it is. Like in Katha Upanishad, Valli and all that is talked about. The same way over here in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is called Brahmana. So in the second chapter, the 5th section, it is referred to as Madhu Brahmana, and that is what is referred to over here. Dvayor Madhu Jnane. So Madhu Brahmana is that section. Param Brahma Prakashitam. In there, this great Brahman is revealed. And how is it revealed? Pruthivyam udare chaiva yatha akashah prakashitah. Just like the space in the stomach and the outside space. That is the example taken over here. Gaudapadacharya ji took pot space and the great space. Over here, the 2 spaces, the stomach space, udara over here, Pruthivyam udare. So Pruthivyam udare over here, what is talked about over here is in this earth, like in the earth, or like in the stomach, and the great space of the earth and the great space of the stomach. So earth space and then the stomach space. These 2 are taken. Now, in Madhu Brahmana, pairs are taken. Dvaya. That's why dvaye, dvayoho over here is talked about. And different pairs. So what is this pair? So the pairs are taken to teach. An example is taken. The pairs are taken. The stomach space and the great space. The I, the individual I and the universal I. The individual stomach and the individual space and the total space. So it is referred to as microcosm, macrocosm, or is what is referred to as dvayoho. The two, which is referred to the pairs of two, it is the microcosm and the macrocosm. That is what is referred to over here. And Adhyatmam over here and Adhidaivam. These are the two pairs over here. Gurudev talks about the individual and total as Adhyatma and Adhidaiva. So, what is established between the two is that in fact there is only one. The individual I and the universal I. The universal I, the sun god, its light sees the entire universe. And the individual I sees the individual world. But in fact, there is only one seeing. There is only one being that is established. The space within the stomach and the outside space. In fact, there is only space. So, like this, microcosm and macrocosm, so many examples are taken over there to explain that in this Jiva and Paramatma, in fact, there is only Aikya, there is only self, there is only Atma. So, taking several pairs to explain, the Upanishad says that the same Atma is the essence, and that essence is Paramatma, and the Paramatma alone is, and the Paramatma is the actual essence of the Jivatma. There is no such thing as an actual existence of Jivatma. That is what is established in this Madhu Brahmana. Another Shruti is taken over here. Neha nanasti kinchana. Upanishad say there is no duality over here. If one experiences duality, mrutyo samrutyum apnoti, ya iha naneva pashyati. Over here, if one sees two things, such a person, mrutyu samrutyum apnoti. The person goes from death to death to death. Birth is not even mentioned. Because we are as good as dead while we are alive. We are jada. The glass cannot know its own existence. So that is what is referred to over here, that Jivatma is not born out of Paramatma. There is no such thing as the individual existence of Jivatma. Paramatma alone is. Continuing. Jivatmanorananyatvam अभेदेन प्रशस्यते नानात्वं निन्द्यते यच्च तदेवं हि samanjasam. So over here, Jiva Atmanoho, the distinction between the Jiva and the Brahman. Jiva Atmanoho Ananyatvam, the non-different identity of these two, abhedena, lack of the different similarity between the individual self and the supreme self, is praised. So what is praised in all these examples, in all Upanishads, is the non-dual nature of the self. In the embodied self, in the embodied soul, there is only Atma. There is no such thing as Jivatma. A Jivatma was not created out of Paramatma. Jivatma, in essence, is Paramatma, just like the wave, in essence, is only water. There is an as though appearance of a wave. but in reality, it is only water. So that is what it says. Jiva Atmanoho Ananyatvam Abhedena Prashasyate. The non-dual, abhed, non-difference, prashasyate. That is what is praised in all Upanishads. Nanatvam Nindyate yacha, nanatvam plurality, nindyante, it is condemned. In all Upanishads, the differences is condemned. The manyness of jiva is condemned in Upanishads. Tadevam hi samanjasam. This indeed is true. So he is saying there is no such thing as multitudes of jiva. There is only nothing other than pure self. And in Upanishads, oneself alone is praised, and the distinction of having very many jiva, that is condemned. In fact, there is only self and oneself alone. That is what is talked about. Continuing, the next karika, Jivatmano pruthakvam yat pragutpatte prakirtitam bhavishyat vrutya gaunam tanmukhyatvam hinayujyate. So over here, Jivatmano, Jiva Atmanaha, Pruthaktvam, the difference, yat prag utpattehe prakirtitam. Now, in the Vedas, the Upanishads are towards the very end of the Vedas. And Upanishad section, Vedanta section of the Vedas is a fraction of a percent of Vedas. 99.9% of the Vedas is Karmakand. So over here it is said, the Jiva Atmanoho Pruthakvatvam, Pruthakvam, the difference between the Jiva and Atma, Pragutpattehe, in the earlier portion of the Vedas, Prakirtitam, it is very well known. In the initial portion of the Vedas, the two are talked about, and that is very well known. And of course, it has to be, to do karma, two things have to be there. The doer acts upon something else, and an action is done. If one and alone one thing is, what karma can it do? So naturally, in the earlier portion of the Veda, two things is talked about, the Jiva and the Paramatma. And it is the Jiva which has to walk the path of Dharma and slowly do karmas so that it can gain an identity with Paramatma. So the two are talked about, and it is even said that the Jiva is told to worship Bhagavan, to do karma, all that. Bhagavan Krishna also tells Arjuna the same thing. Chapters 3, 4, 5, you have to do karma, you have to do karma, not just any karma, not just kamya karma, you have to do sakam karma, kamya karma, you have to give up, and nishkama karma. Offer all, do karma without any desires. Offer action to Bhagavan. Why? Chitta Shuddhyartham, to get the purity of the mind and the intellect. So the Vedas only address a person who has a desire to evolve. Thus, the person will follow the karmas. And so much Proper karma has to be done. And the Vedas even say if you do this karma, you will have this punya. When you have punya, you will be able to uh, have a better life, whatnot. Everything is talked about. This creates a huge confusion when we bring that understanding into Mandukya Upanishad. This is why our study has to be proper. Our understanding has to be proper. When we study Mandukya Upanishad, the previous has to be given up, just like a little baby, uh, uh, 4 month, 5 month, 6 month old baby, you give very soft plastic toys because you know it is going to put everything in the mouth. And there is a phase where everything goes in the mouth. Then, when the kid becomes toddler, then you have to give big, big blocks and shapes, a triangle, a square, a circle, a rectangle, and then he will put a square in a square, a triangle in a triangle, a circle in a circle, and then the color recognition, this is red, this is white, this is blue, this is pink, whatnot, all this recognition. So you cannot give that same the toy which the child sucked at 6 months to a baby that is a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. And at the 5-year-old, you teach little. This is apple. Apple starts how? A for apple. And things like this, 1 plus 1, 2, and all these study. By the time the kid is 17, 18-year old, getting ready to graduate from college, what toys will he have? The same toy that you give a 6-month old to suck and put in the mouth? No, he has developed some robotics. So at every growth, the previous has to be given up. So all those little, for a little baby, that toy is given up, big squares and all that come. That is given up, then Legos come. That is given up, then puzzles come. That is given up, then bicycle comes. That is given up. Now the child is going to learn driving, and then Legos given up, and then robotics and different technology based toys and all. They will develop the 3D printing and all those things. So the previous has to be given up to grow. This is exactly how Vedanta is. If we do not give up the previous, we will not grow. So we cannot bring karma kand over here. This point we have to keep in mind. So over there, the separateness of the jiva and Brahman is talked about, karma is talked about, prarabdha is talked about, all that is there. And when the jiva dies, it comes back again. And Bhagavan Krishna also says, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Prashtopi Jayate. You, Arjuna, will be born in a people of great learning so that your learning can continue. Even that Bhagavan Krishna says. And for Gauda Padacharya, doesn't give reality to any of the pot space was not created, much less the pot space reincarnating. Oh ho ho ho. We are opening up a can of worms over here. So we have to give up all that. That is good for understanding. And we have to do Karma Yoga Sadhana to get Chitta Ekagrata. Then we have to do Upasana to the Chitta getting back into its Ekagrata. Karma Yoga Sadhana for the purification and the Upasana for the Ekagrata. When that is done, now that mind can actually think and focus. and go beyond jivatva and think into the realms, into the realms of brahmatva. I am Brahman, I am Brahman. So this is what is talked about here. Vedas, the jivatma paramatma differences, the entire karmakand talks about this worship of the jivatma, worship of the paramatma by the jivatma. All that has to be given up. Now comes the new topic, Karikas 15 through 26, negation of the Jagat Shrushti by giving the example. So over here, two examples were given from Upanishads in 11, 12, 13, 14. 11 talked about Taittiriya Upanishad, 12 talked about the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the 13 talked about oneness, and the 14th necessarily to assimilate what is said in the previous as compared to the Vedanta. We have to pick the higher one, which is the Upanishad. So don't hold on to the previous one, pick the Upanishad. In this way, Shruti Praman was established. Okay, this is the bird's eye view of what we did today. Now, the Shruti Praman for what does the Veda say about the non creation of the universe. This is the non creation of Jiva, which we just completed. Now, the non creation of this Jiva. We will continue next week, Tuesday. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम.